Hello and welcome to the Stress Mastery Podcast. I am your host, Peggy Romero. I thank you for joining me today. It's Saturday. This week, we've been talking about setting the target, and we've had some great discussions that have really been interesting. You know, Bill's views on life are often way outside the box, and he brings us so much useful information to consider. It gives me a lot to think about. I'm so grateful for it. And boy, is he a hard act to follow. So it's the end of another year and the perfect time to reflect on our lives. So we're once again focused on goal setting here at the Stress Mastery community and podcast. How about you? Did you write out your goals last year? Were you able to accomplish them? Did you do some of them, none of them? What do you intend to do in 2023? You know, I go through periods of my life where every day seems the same. And I like that feeling of being comfortable and predictable. But unfortunately, that never lasts too long for me. 1 minute I'm happy with what I'm doing, and the next I'm like, okay, well, I've been sitting long enough. Time to get on getting on. So I got back to Arizona toward the end of October, and I got my little house all set up after being closed up for months. And I have a whole bunch of things that I have to do when I get there. Everything needs to get cleaned up and dusted off. I got to go grocery shopping because the fridge is empty and the cupboards are bare. So I have friends stopping by. And of course, I want to talk to them and give them a hug. How's everything been going since I saw you at the end of last winter? What have you been doing? How's your family? When did you get back? What are you going to be doing this year? Of course, I got to get my office set up. Decorate for fall inside and out. And I love water fountains. I love the sound of moving water. So I have fountains inside and out. I got to get all those up and running and set up my little outside area, my yard and all that. Then there's all these habits and routines that I need to reestablish because my life is different there than it is during the summer. So it's like a beautiful day in the neighborhood every day when you're there. It's not too hot and not too cold. Of course, I plan it that way. I have the flexibility to choose when I want to go back. And I run really hot. So, of course, I'm going to wait until it cools down. I don't go to Arizona when it's hot still. And so I get back to my routine. I love to finish my Green Focus Power Hour, go for a walk, and then go to the gym every morning. And then in the evening, I have a group of women that I walk with. And I just love it. And so I go to the gym, I have a flexibility class, yoga, Tai Chi. I told you guys last week, all these things there are to do there, I can't even fit them all in. But here's the thing. I really have to keep my schedule straight. And so sometimes this is like a whole thing for me. It's confusing. So Arizona is in the Pacific time zone, but they don't follow daylight savings time. So they don't spring forward and fall back. So I have to keep my schedule and my mind straight. I actually have to write my appointments down, a lot of them, in Eastern time because the coaches mostly live in Eastern time. And so if I know when I'm meeting for them, then it makes it easier. So I'll just give you one example. So the coaches meet 2:30 Eastern. So that's 1:30 for me all summer long before I get back to Arizona. But when I go back to Arizona, it's 3 hours earlier Pacific time. So now it's 11:30 for me until the clocks change and mine do not. So now I have to remember my meeting is at 12:30. Okay. Now this past weekend, I came back to Pella to have Christmas with my kids. So now my meeting's at 1:30 again. I'm telling you, it's crazy just to keep track of that one weekly meeting. And I've got 2 or 3 others. So that's what I've been doing. Sometimes it feels like I'm just trying to keep myself together. But you see, even though I'm content with settling in and getting cozy, once I'm really settled in and feeling really cozy, it starts feeling like Groundhog's Day to me. I always got to be moving. So then I know it's time to start stepping it up. So what's next? What am I going to do now? And that's where setting the target comes in. I'm thinking about setting the target for 2023 and beyond, but specifically doing my goals for 2023. Making bold moves, not letting my ego scare me, but also doing the little things that make life easier for me to stick to the plan. So we all know there's big targets and little targets, long-term goals and short-term goals. And remember, you're the one who gets to decide. You get to make those goals. You get to set the target. And there's no limit. Honestly, you get to write the next chapter of your life. You get to decide what you really want. And then you have to decide, is it worth setting the target and then really going for it? Because if it's something great or fantastic, it's not going to be easy to accomplish. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you're going to rewrite the story, step up and step into the life you desire, you're going to have to make some big, bold moves. And it'll be tough. So I ask you, what will you do in 2023? How do you see you? The reason I'm asking you this is because Bill gave me some homework to do. It's a really big challenge. I'm surprised. So we were discussing my work that I've been doing, and you see, I'm working on a complete transformation. Like my whole life is totally different than it was just a few years ago. When I decided to sell my business and really decide to be the person that God created me to be, everything changed. And when I say everything, I mean every single thing changed. I'm a people person. Well, not every single thing. I do have a few of the same friends, and I'm really glad. I'm a people person, and oh my gosh, how I love my tribe. But many of them have rejected me. They didn't want me to change. My family and many of my oldest and dearest friends, consequently, are not in my life at this time. It's painful, and it's really scary sometimes. I mean, this actually includes losing my husband. I sure wasn't expecting that. That hurts. That shakes me to my core. To be honest, sometimes it makes me wonder if I even did the right thing. Well, it only makes me wonder for a minute because I believe, I know, being true to myself is actually being true to God. And in the end, when I'm connected to my heart, my creation mind, that's what really matters to me. Nothing is more important to me than my connection to God. At the end of my life, I will hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And that's my target. So I have to keep my eye on that prize. So I've got lots of work to do because that's why I'm here. I'm here to help people, and I feel it from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. I know my purpose for life. I feel it in my soul. I'm getting older now. So of course, when I feel like I'm just sitting idly, just doing nothing, of course I ask myself, am I getting closer to my target or am I just wasting time? You don't get to where you're going by just sitting around. And as far as I know, that target is never going to come to me. So I have a lot to do. Many bold moves I still have to make. So I got my book published last year. That was a bold move. Yay me. But now I need to promote that book and myself. And let me tell you, this is challenging because self-promotion, well, that's way outside my comfort zone. I've been totally blessed with a knowledgeable and beautiful young woman named Ashley who helps me with my social media. And now I have my nice informative website, Instagram, Facebook, and other stuff she does. She gives me ideas for my content. She posts all my stuff for me. And working with Ashley every month, that's a bold move for me. So back to Bill's assignment for me. To see the new and transformed Peggy Romero, to describe her in detail, in writing. See, the old me is gone. I lost my safety blanket, my tribe, my partner. I don't live in the same house anymore. That was a house that I'd had for 25 years. Actually, more than 25 years. I don't even live in the same state. I don't hang out with the same friends. I'm not close with my sisters anymore. But like I just told you, we are the author of our lives. And the new Peggy is completely up to me. Where I live, who I love, who I know, what I do. All I need to do is visualize myself and feel her, the real me, because she's right there within. She's in my heart, just waiting to come out. How do I feel about myself in my life? How do I look? My hair, my clothes. How do I walk, talk, and move? What do I carry? And who am I with? How do I greet you? Where, how, and who do I entertain? I love to have people over, so I have to put that one in there. I get to be whatever me I choose to be. So I started life with a really poor self-image, and I never felt good enough. Not good enough for anyone. But thanks to Bill, thanks to my working on myself and my commitment to being coached, to learn the let go technique and use it all day long, as well as all the other steps of stress mastery, I have a much better view of myself now. I actually know that I can do whatever I set my mind to do. So right now, I'm in a position to choose right now. Who am I? Who do I want to be? Because I can be whoever I decide to become. I'm no longer who I had always been, that's for sure. So I'm in the process of flipping the script. But that's not easy because I still have that dang ego, Lucy. Of course, she's trying to convince me that I'm still that poor girl who doesn't deserve anything special. Of course, she wants me to stay exactly the same as I always was. She doesn't want me to change. And resistance is strong, as usual. But of course, you know what? I'm strong too. I got this. My eye's on the prize. As for the homework assignment, yeah, I haven't done it yet. But Sunday morning, after my Green Focus Power Hour, I will allow her into my heart, the new Peggy. And Monday morning, I'll type it out. And just because I haven't done it yet doesn't mean I'm not thinking about it. Who is this new and improved me? I'm looking at her. Who is she? I haven't scheduled to sit long and hard with this and allow myself to feel it, to nurture her, to see her, to get to know her, to let her grow, to fall in love with her deep in my heart. I am able to create the identity of the person that I intend to be. And you know why? Because she is me, the real me. So then I'll take that, her, and I will incorporate it into the 8 technique and add it to my end of the day when I close the day. I'll allow myself to be her, to feel what it's like to be her, to imagine who I am when I am fully her. And I will imagine her every day, morning and night. What you think you create, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you become. I am so grateful that I know how to do this, and you guys, you can do it too. It doesn't have to be recreating your whole self. You can do it with anything. And you can find this 8 technique. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but you can find it in the higher goal setting lessons and many other helpful resources in the Stress Mastery community. Of course, the links are right below the show. I encourage you to try it, guys, because it really works. So here I am, making bold moves and also doing little things that make sticking to the plan easier for me. And I want to ask you, what are you going to do next? How do you see yourself in the future? You'll also have to sit with it, use your imagination, see it and feel it in your own heart. You've got to connect to your heart and your purpose. Put yourself first. Get a clear image of who you truly are. If you could be anyone, anything you wanted to be, who are you? Set your target. So I'm a writer, and writers write. So I imagine sitting at a keyboard in my office, and the words are just flowing out effortlessly, filling page after page of words of love and encouragement. I'm working on a companion workbook, so I need flow. Again, this is all new to me, so I'm going to need help. I need God to help me. I see the target. I'm not sure how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to take the time, and step by step, day by day, I'll figure it out. And I know that it'll be worth it. This is my goal. So when you're setting the target, remember, you got to consider the risk and reward. And remember, sometimes you just can't do it right now because it may not be your time today. I know that the things that I do now, the life that I have right now, I wouldn't have been able to have it when I was young. It would be impossible when my kids were younger. They were counting on me. They needed my time. They needed my effort. They needed my whole heart and my money. I had to work a lot to keep them fed and housed and clothed. And now I have all I need and I can live on very little. I mean, it's just me. So right now I can focus on whatever I want. So it's awesome. But it wasn't always like this. But let's just say that you wanted to write a book, but you have a husband, children, and a job. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And you'll have to find the time somewhere. So what are you willing to give up? Less TV? Less sleep? Oh, maybe you could write during your lunchtime. Give up your weekends with your family? Would it be worth it? What's the value? What will you get from it? What's the cost? And is it really worth it? I mean, is it worth your time and your money? Will it add to your life? It needs to add value to your life if it's going to be worth it. But if it's truly your heart's desire and aligned to your purpose, then the answer may well be yes. And you'll be better on the other side of that challenge. So here's an example of this. I went to college when I was in my 40s. I now have a Bachelor of Arts degree, a degree I've never once needed or used, not even almost. But you know what? It was still worth it to me. And yes, it did cost a lot of time and a lot of money. I quit high school at 15 years old, and I had something to prove. Not to you, not to them, not to anyone but me. I had to allow the failure to let me feel like a dumbbell. My whole life, I felt stupid, but I allowed it. I let my ego talk to me. So I needed to do this for me. I had something to prove, and I'm so glad I did, because I graduated with high honors, magna cum laude. I did that, the high school dropout who never passed her sophomore year. And guess what? It was pretty easy for me too. So I'm not a dumbbell after all. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty stinking smart. Unfortunately, I had allowed that failure to become part of my identity for years. It held me back. It added one more lack to my story. My ego would remind me constantly, you couldn't even freaking pass high school. You're such a quitter. What a loser. How do you think you're going to do that? You couldn't even get through school. But you know what? Actually, I wasn't a loser. Yes, I did quit high school, but that didn't make me who I was. Certainly not who I am. I should have not ever let that define me, because it wasn't me. It never was. But I let Lucy hold me down for decades over it. But you know, I didn't know how to forgive myself. I didn't know the let go technique, that you could actually let stuff go. I didn't know that all the stories, well, that the ego tells us are bullcrap. They're not even real. I know now. That was just an obstacle, one of the many boulders in my path, and I'm stronger for it. So I'm grateful. Remember, when you're setting your goals, you got to consider that there's going to be obstacles. So write them down, think about what they might be, and then prepare yourself for them, because you're going to have them too. We all have boulders on the path, that's for sure. So I want to remind you that each step that you take matters. Hopefully you're not going backwards, but when you take a step in the right direction, even a small step is going to help create momentum. So practice the little things over and over. Have some little wins. It might look something like, just looking something up online, or just a phone call to a person who might be able to help you. Yeah, they might say no. That's a risk. But they could say yes, so make the stinking call. And sometimes I feel like the Lone Ranger, and when I do, I know it's all my fault. I don't need to be like this. We all need help. Think about who can help you, and then be bold. It's like when you're a little kid. Do you want to play with me? Or would you be my friend? We're so fearless when we're young. Naturally, after the school hard knocks and people hurting us, it's harder to be vulnerable. But it's still important, because we need people. We don't need to go it alone. We really don't. We weren't built for that. It's funny too. Sometimes I put something off for a few days, and then the call goes way better than I imagined. Like, they're actually so happy that I called, or me calling them just made them happy, and they're totally happy to help me. It makes me wonder why I do the things the hard way when I do them. And you know what? Even if people say no, I can take no for an answer. It won't kill me. Another way to make my life simpler this year is to make a goal to release attachments. I realize I'm attached to a lot of people and things. So let go of things that you don't need. Clean out your closets, your cupboards, your drawers, your garage. If you don't use it, why don't you give it to someone who will? Let them enjoy it. You're not. Ladies, get rid of your old makeup. It's not good after like 6 months, I think, anyways. And here's a new one for me. I'm actually just starting this. I thought of it while I was writing the podcast. Use up your potions, lotions, and night creams and all that before you try the next new thing. I'm always a sucker to try the next thing that's going to make my skin softer or whatever. So I'm going to use up all the rest of my stuff that I have before I buy another thing. That's my goal. That's my challenge for myself. And here's something that works really great for me. For everything I buy, I get rid of something else. I have enough stuff. So if I'm going to bring something else in the house, something's got to go. So this is my rule. And boy, oh boy, it saves me a lot of money because lots of the times there's nothing I want to get rid of. So it stops me from buying whatever it is I thought I needed. And remember, the new you isn't just releasing attachment to things. Remember, you can't become who you want to be if you're holding on to who you are or who you used to be. So you can't change your behaviors and keep the old ones. You got to give up the old ones. Okay, so here's an example. Years ago, I drank tons of Pepsi. Now I drink tons of water. My last thing for setting the target and the little things that make life easier for me is living on purpose. So you have to ask yourself, is this thing that I'm doing or planning going to bring me closer to my target or further away? Or am I just idling again? And remember, guys, sometimes it's okay to be idle for a while. Enjoy your life. And you guys, if you love your life and you don't have a mile-long to-do list and you are growing spiritually and you are connected to your heart and you're living with purpose, you can sit idly all you want because you got it going. Oh my gosh, as long as you're happy and content with your life, you're on a great path. Perhaps your target is right in front of you, or maybe you've already hit the bullseye. I'm so happy for you. I hope that we all get there someday. But for the rest of us, now is the time. Your next chapter is totally up to you. You get to decide where you're going to be tomorrow and the next day. What a huge blessing. God always gives us another chance. Keep on your path, guys. Set your target. That's it for today's podcast. Our mission here is to create a shift in the planet, and you can join us on the mission by simply like, share, and subscribe. The links are right below the show notes. If you want to reach out to me, you can go to peggyromero.com. Happy to answer any questions or help you with anything you need. As always, until next time, stay inspired.